out there?
It's not a who. First I thought it was a ghost, and then it punched me in the face.
A ghost?
No, he's saying it's not a ghost.
Yeah, but now I'm thinking, who is this?
That's my old boyfriend, Vance.
How did he die?
Die? I think he lives in Connecticut.
Not anymore. Harper!
Vance?
Vance?
Hi guys, welcome to a new video. So we have a special video today, a special guest coming on my channel, an actor from Supernatural who guest starred in one of the more fun episodes in season 14. He played a zombie called Vance in the episode Optimism, the 6th episode of season 14. A very funny episode directed by Richard Speight and one of the more fun ones. Again, one of my favorites of that season. His name is Sam Robert Muik. He's an actor from the Silver Creek Valley, based between Los Angeles and Vancouver, Canada. Sam's credits range from a serious lead role on Hudson to numerous guest spots on American network shows. Riverdale, Supernatural, The Twilight Zone, Batwoman and Charmed, to name a few. He's done a lot of cool stuff. I'm excited to have him on the channel today to talk about Supernatural, his other roles, and how did he get into acting, and how did he get that role in Supernatural, and much more. So I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Let's welcome our guest. Hey Sam, welcome to my channel.
Hey man, it's good. Great to meet you there, Leo.
Great.
And hello to everyone watching this.
Yeah, great to meet you too. Nice to have you on. And first of all, how are you doing these days? Quarantine, everything, how's it going?
Now that truck's gone, I'm doing very well, man. I'm doing very well. It's been beautiful here. I live in Vancouver, so it's beautiful weather. But no, I'm doing really well.
You live where our favorite show is being filmed, so that's very lucky. We were just talking about that before an interview. Beautiful scenery in Vancouver, right?
Yes, yeah. There's the rain's not to be underestimated. That's the 10 months of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is definitely, we're in a really good streak of weather right now. It's gorgeous.
And
it's
you have,
really.
And you have some of the nicer weather in Canada compared to other parts, right?
It's not all snow and igloos. It's not all snow and igloos.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's right now. It's about. Oh, let me do my math here. I'd say 60s, 70s right now.
That's very nice for Canada, actually.
Yeah.
I have a lot of favorite YouTubers. I don't know if you heard of Vegan Gains.
I do not know that one.
Yeah, so it's a vegan channel about fitness and ethics and fitness and philosophy and stuff. He's one of my favorite. Okay. He lives in Canada. He's forgot the name of his city. He recently moved, but he used to live in Toronto, and it's freezing all the time.
Yes, yeah. It's we're still on. We're on the West Coast, right? So our weather's heavily influenced by the ocean. You're so far inland and you're also so far east, it really is. You still get the draft of the prairie, so it's frozen there for a long time.
Yeah, but definitely beautiful scenery. And I personally love the rain. I don't know about you, but I would actually like living in a similar environment.
I will take anything over snow, so I'm there with you, actually. I don't mind the rain at all. It's a lot, but I don't mind.
We agree on that.
Yeah.
So first off, I would like to ask you a general question about like your acting. How did you get interested in acting to begin with, and how did you get into acting?
Yeah, so a couple things I did before finding my way into acting. So I grew up on a farm, on my parents' cattle farm, and then I was an electrician for the first couple of years, my grad year and my first year out of high school. And then from there, I packed up and started dancing. And I packed up and moved to Vancouver, where I still am. And I danced, built up to professionally. In all about 5 years, I was dancing professionally. Mm-hmm. And then with a few different companies there. And that started bleeding into me working in film and television as a dancer. And then I got into acting right... 2016 was when your channel started, right? So right around that time.
Yeah, wow, we're started together.
Yeah. So I was telling you earlier before we got on this, I did a dance contract on a cruise ship where I went to Florida, and that was the last big dance job that I did. When I got back from that, I used all the money I'd saved from that to get into acting. I've been doing acting ever since.
What kind of dancing, by the way?
I started with the old funk style, so I was always a fan of Soul Train growing up. So I love locking, popping, and hip hop, like up in 90s hip hop.
Hmm.
So that bled into animation and popping, and were always kind of my main styles. And then the company I trained, the dance center I trained at in Vancouver is called Harbor Dance Center. It's an adult drop-in studio.
Hmm.
And then I trained in jazz, contemporary, a little bit of ballet, and then, but mainly hip hop was always my main style.
Have you ever done classic dancing?
Like classical ballet, classical ballroom, or
I guess, have you seen the episode of Supernatural when Dean dances in a recent episode?
so funny enough, my roommate. It was between my roommate and another one of our good friends to be Jensen's tap dancing double for that.
No way.
Yeah. So my roommate's on the other side of the wall right now. So he was actually. So my roommate is a tap dance teacher and jazz teacher at that dance studio at Harbor.
Uh-huh.
But our other buddy Patrick was Jensen's tap dance double for that episode.
Wow, and we didn't even prepare that question. That just came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the
Yeah.
question is, have you ever done tap dancing? There you go.
I tried. I attempted. I've got quite the set of duck feet. So unfortunately, they can run marathons, but they can't tap dance.
Fair enough. I can't do any dancing at all, so I'm not one to talk, you know. But you know,
I can't either, man. That was always my mantra: was I'm dancing for all of us guys that can't dance.
well, thanks for presenting us.
Yeah,
And-
no worries.
And you know, the impressive thing I was just gonna say is, recently I've read about Jensen and how he got into that dance scene with DJ Quaz, the actor opposite him, doing a tap dance scene. And he was talking about how he almost never done it before. He had brief training for his wedding like many years ago to dance with his wife.
Man.
But they called him up and he said, "Can you dance?" He's like, "What kind of dance? Like a club dance?" "No." "Can you do tap dancing?" He's like, "No." And he literally took, I don't know, man, a couple of hours, him and DJ Quaz, to rehearse. And I don't know how he did it. He did an amazing job.
Yeah. I'll actually tag into that with a story from set if you want to do that
Oh.
right now.
Please, yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so when I filmed my episode back when, Jensen, Jared, Misha, not Cass, Misha.
You can call him by the character's name. Well, I don't know if they're not gonna be mad at that, I think.
Yeah, right. No disrespect intended ever. But anyways, I know the three of them, and I forget who else, but they were all doing a fundraiser, and they were running a marathon for, I think, or anyways, a fundraiser of some kind, but they were running a marathon. And Jensen, it was the same thing. He had never run one before, and then we ended up somehow that came into conversation that I had done quite a few. So he was fully immersed himself in that, just like how you said he immersed himself in the dance. So not surprised whatsoever.
Amazing. He's a super quick learner, apparently.
Yeah.
And we were just talking before the interview. I was saying you're multi-talented because you dance. You just said you also sing. Maybe we'll talk about this a little later. And obviously you act. And Jensen does a lot of things. There was a story also, if you want to tell it now or later, about Jensen on set with a guitar, right? You can tell it now if you want.
Yeah, for sure. Just quick one. One of our days of shooting, it was our stunt coordinator's birthday, and his wife bought him a brand new guitar. It was gorgeous. So
Nice.
we were chatting and just playing with that, and then Jensen came around the corner, and then he picked it up, and that's when I found out Jensen played, and plays really well. It's so awesome.
What does this man not do? Seriously.
Yeah.
He sings very well, acts very well. He's the director, and he dances, he sings. Too much.
Mhm.
So the next thing I want to ask you about is how long have you been a fan of Supernatural, and how did you get into it?
Yeah. So I watched the show when I was a little kid. I watched it when it came out. Excuse me. And I watched it episodically, week to week, until season 6.
Mhm.
And that was when Cass had the dagger put into him, and they didn't do anything, and he was God for that quick moment.
Mhm.
And then after that was when I moved to Van, and then after that I haven't had a TV since, so it kind of got difficult to watch and follow up. And then I've watched episodes here and there, but I kind of went out of watching the show right then, because then that also started me kind of setting onto dance and acting requires a lot of attention.
Yeah, of course, I can understand. And you also mentioned you've been a fan of my channel around pretty much the same time my channel has been out. That's crazy. How did you find it?
Because what you do, Leo, is absolutely amazing. Is you don't just take the core parts, you just take what's your beautiful explanation of what a juxtaposition is, so copyright doesn't ever come after you.
I make sure.
And it's perfect. No, it's perfect. It's like it's nothing beats sitting down and actually watching the show, which after season 27 is finished of this show and it's finally over, I'll watch them all.
Man,
straight through.
I really want that season 27 to come. We were just talking before the interview how I never obviously expected it to end now. I never wanted it to end, and yeah, what are you gonna do, man? I'm glad it's delayed right now. We're just talking about that.
Even Mother Nature doesn't want it to end.
I know. Even the actors joke about that. Like I've heard them talk about like God in real life doesn't want to end.
Yeah, it was good.
They're talking about because God is the main antagonist on the show now. He doesn't want to end, so he stopped everything.
Oh, gee. What territory is the last season entering? The real territory.
Like reality TV.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's funny because one of the latest episodes, I don't know, you said you haven't been caught up, right? Like on the latest stuff. One of the latest episodes, God actually, in a kind of meta moment, he watches TVs at kind of like a Radio Shack Best Buy hybrid place. And on the TVs, there are natural disasters of him ending the world.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's like one of the biggest meta moments for nowadays, especially, you know?
Yeah.
The show has been big on meta episodes for a while, so this one is just accidental, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to start canceling shows.
Are you finished, sir? Is that all of them?
Not yet. You know, unwinding whole worlds. Some take a snap, and others are more complex. They'll need more time, attention.
Mm-hmm.
So, next I would like to ask you about your role. You play Vance in the episode Optimism.
Yeah.
First off, how did you get the role, and how were you approached to be on Supernatural, and the audition process and all of that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. So just a disclaimer. So both of us, I'm one of two for that episode. So my very, very good friend, we bonded as soon as we met one another through that audition. Maddie Phillips, who plays Harper in that episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
She's so good in that too. Yeah.
Yes, she is. And actually, you know what? One more little quick aside. Anyone who's watching this, if you love Harper and you love Maddie, keep your eyes peeled in the next few months. That's all I can say right now. But keep your eyes peeled and you'll be seeing something of her.
Wow.
And you won't be disappointed. It'll be really good.
That's an exciting tease there.
Yeah. So standard, so Supernatural, to my knowledge, has been the same casting directors in Vancouver. So most shows that film here have their Vancouver casting directors or Canadian casting directors, and they also have their LA-based casting directors. Mm-hmm. So the Eric Kripke and whoever the original team were that made the show, they were down in LA, and then they can't come up here to kind of build their infrastructure and their team here. So the casting directors here are the same ones that have been casting the show for all 15 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. So they were really big supporters of me for the few years that I've been acting. They brought me in very consistently, and it's a very fortunate thing to have you be brought in that much. And then especially for the show, I've auditioned for the show. I'd auditioned for the show, I'd say at least a dozen, maybe 24 times. Wow. And huge.
Over the years, like a long period of time, or?
Yeah. I actually my very first audition with my first kind of true agency was for Supernatural. It was a Friday night, and I showed up to the studio late, and I didn't know where to go because you had to go through the back, and there was a crazy story there. But yeah, it was actually the very first show that I auditioned. It was the very first thing I auditioned for as an actor.
It's meant to be, man.
Yeah.
So the casting directors called you, and for that episode, and can you walk us through like the audition process? How did it go? How long did it take? And all that?
Yeah. So standard practice, my agent saw a role that pertained to me, submitted me to that casting director. The casting director said, "Yeah, we'll see him." So then I went in and I actually met. It doesn't always happen this way, but I met Maddie because they were auditioning the Harpers before they auditioned the Vances.
Mm-hmm.
So I met my friend Maddie there. That was the first time we met one another. So she had just finished, and then I was the first of the Vances. And Richard Speight Jr. was the director of that episode, and he was actually in the room for that one as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So generally you don't have the directors in the first round of auditions. Usually it's at the callback or the producer sessions that you'll have the director.
I'm surprised he was there from the beginning. You're saying, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he
like
was there
hands on, very much.
Yeah. So Richard was there, and I had auditioned for Richard a few times before as well. So that was really nice having that. And then that was the middle of August, and then by the end of August was when Maddie and I, because we found out the same day that you two are cast as Harper and Vance, and then that was for the September shoot.
Awesome. How did you feel when you got the calls that you're hired? You know.
Let me condense this story. It's a really
you don't even have to condense it. If
okay,
good, yeah, just tell everything.
So I was in it's this old Hollywood boutique style lounge, and across the street was the restaurant I worked at the time. So the year before that, when I was working at my restaurant job, Jensen and Richard actually came in with a bunch of the crew of Supernatural, and I served them. It was amazing. Jensen is just a noble man and treated me very well as well.
Nice.
And wished me off and said, like, good luck, can't wait to see you out there. It was really special. And then fast forward a year, and it was actually a year to the day that I served him and Richard and all those guys that my agent called me and said I got that episode. And I had auditioned for that show a lot over that year, but it was the audition that came around where it was Richard directing and all of my scenes were with Jensen. It was crazy.
That was, I'm sure, like one of the most amazing moments in your life, especially to be auditioning for it for a long time.
Yeah, it was very the fanboy in me freaks out even now, because you get to watch the show when you're a kid, and then you grow up and you're still growing up, and then you get to do something that you watched and that you're watching your dreams come true, and you're actually living your dreams. How could you ever describe that?
You can't, because I can't imagine myself being on the show, because that would be mind blowing to me too.
You got to keep your shit together, because you remember you're actually there to do a job.
You're there to work, not to fanboy.
This is so cool. Yeah.
Awesome, man. And speaking of like Jensen being noble and like the nice atmosphere between the cast, even the directors, the next question I would like to ask you is, a lot of actors talk about that family atmosphere on the show. They treat you like family, even if you're a newcomer. I want you to be totally honest with me. How was your experience on set? And especially compared to your expectations of it for years trying to get into the show, being a fan of the show, how were you received? What was your experience like? And tell us any cool stories you remember from set.
Yeah, man. So if I could encapsulate it into one word, family, for sure. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I'll take it as an actor, and then me as me. As an actor, it's amazing to see what, you could go on forever trying to figure out, but what Supernatural's done for film and television in Vancouver, what it's done for all the actors and all the people it's employed over the years, long before I was ever in the picture, and that little bit of that episode that I got to be a part of it. You really saw the mechanism of that and how well that is prepared, rehearsed, and you come in and it's just such a well-oiled machine. It's like coming in and you just get to play. You don't have to worry about logistics or variables, because everyone there is so well rehearsed in what they do. We changed, so I'll lead that into a story. The scene where I burst the door down, and that's like Vance pops out for the first time, and Harper goes, Jensen and I have that little ruffle and tussle, and then we fight on and on and on and on. That whole thing got scrapped and got redone right then and there. And then I just got to come right in. And then I got told, yeah, you're just doing all these new moves, this. And Jensen's telling me, yeah, and I need you to go here. And just to see, and the utmost respect, and so clear and just so easy, because everything is just so well
maintained and rehearsed and
well maintained. Yeah, and everybody has the rhythm. There we go. Everyone understands and everyone's in the rhythm of the show.
Vance. All right, looks like we're dealing with some sort of undead, risen dead, something in that wheelhouse. It's silver.
Risen dead?
Yeah. Yeah, looks like you finally get your zombie, kid.
Zombie?
No, he means that...
Silver can hurt it, maybe slow it down, but there's only one way to stop these things. Get her out of here!
I can't just leave.
Go now!
Is there a reason why that scene was redone? Did he tell you why?
It could. No, I never found out. But it could be always. You could have. You could have a scene written where you're going to be looking out a window and you show up to the set and there's no window in the wall, and then you have to change set. So it's kind of like that same thing. If something may have worked excellent on the page and it was built to accommodate that, and then you get there and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, kind of like imagining it on paper is very different to the final version, I guess.
Yeah, and that's not to discredit, because people are they're people that are, their job is, they're very good at that, of knowing how to take it from page to screen. But there was even the ending, when I got chained up, I was supposed to be handcuffed to 2 poles, and the poles weren't close enough to have my arms out, so we just handcuffed me to the bookshelf. So
Nice.
Improvised. Yeah,
Nice
yeah,
improvisation there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you gotta use your environment, even if it's not in the script, obviously, because when you get to set, it's different from what's on the paper, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Vance! Baby, kill him!
You okay?
Yeah. I just grabbed the girl. Oh, son of a bitch.
And a follow-up question that, speaking of the fight with Jensen, how was that? And you briefly kicked Jensen's ass there. How did that feel? that must be enjoyable, growing up watching Jensen and just like kicking him around. He ran from you. First of all, he ran from you to the apartment. You're supposed to be outside, like attacking him. We never see Dean do that unless he has some ghost sickness or something.
So I'll say, me from one fanboy to another here, my favorite thing of that whole episode was when Jack calls out Dean. He calls him an old man, kind of stands up for himself. And then fucking Dean's in the car and he just goes, "Old man, my ass." And he just...
That was a very good Jensen, by the way.
Thanks, man.
You know what? I felt bad for Dean, man. He was so offended by that.
Oh, he got pie in the end. He's fine.
Why don't you back off, kid?
No, you back off, old man.
Old man?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. This isn't over. Old man, my ass.
Because he's such a sweetheart, you don't want to tell him something to offend him, you know?
He really is, man. I'll say this too. I'd love to just share. It's my love for Supernatural for everyone as well. I met Jared. I was working at that same restaurant when I was 21, and Jared came in, whatever he was filming, but he had a black eye. He actually had a real black eye.
Oh no.
We ended up having a quick word. That was the only time I saw him. but I met Jared when I was his age when he started the show. That's what we talked about. And then I actually met Jensen. When I met Jensen back in 2018, I was actually his age when he started the show.
Wow.
So it was just kind of a cool little thing where it was, so to have like those fight scenes with him and kind of have that.
Have this, I guess,
really
you can
be
call it parallel, like between like your age now, between how it started and coming full circle for you, I guess, as a fan.
Yeah, it's one of those. The show's done and meant a lot to me in a lot of ways that you don't realize, and then all of a sudden one day you kind of just see the thread. You see the thread in hindsight, and you go, "Holy crap! Look at how this thing has been there for me, or taught me all these, or given me these couple little golden nuggets that I've never even realized I've always held on to, or that I've always carried with me." It's kind of like that in a way.
Yeah, it's sort of overwhelming, even for me, not being an actor in a show or anything, just working on it through my channel and being a fan of it for many years. And sometimes, like, I get out of it, like I watch a movie or something or do something else, and I realize how much focused and like focusing most of my attention on Supernatural. My work is Supernatural, my favorite show is Supernatural, and you look back, like, it's much bigger than you imagine being part of your life.
I'm going to throw a question at you, Leah. What's a Supernatural moment that really has always stuck with you?
Man, that's a very good question considering like the 15 seasons, but I can actually give you at least one. There is an episode, it's called Faith in season 1. Forgot the number of the episode, but one of the early episodes, basically the first episode where a Reaper shows up. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah.
And it's a cool song, Don't Fear the Reaper, in it. Very cool song. And I guess what stood out for me is the relationship between the bros started to really like solidify in that episode when Dean was dying and Sam was doing his best to save him, obviously. And you got this connection between the bros that was much more than like two guys going on the road in Impala and hunting monsters. The aspect of family, I think, really showed up big in that episode. And even Eric Kripke actually talked about this in interviews, how this episode was a start of like strong bonding between the bros.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a second one from recent seasons, actually from the one you're on. I believe this was last season, 14.
Yeah.
Episode 12 of season 14. It's called Profit or Loss. Your episode was episode 6, I believe.
Okay.
Yours was Optimism, I believe, was episode 6 in 14.
Yeah.
Episode 12, 6 episodes later. One of the things that I missed about the show is the bonding moments between the bros, like I was just saying.
Yeah.
I don't think we get a lot of that in recent seasons, and that's actually something I always criticize about the recent seasons. Give us more of the bros, you know? Because the show is built on them, obviously, and they are the core of the show. Their relationship is what makes it so strong. So in that episode, at the end of it, Dean was giving up. He wanted to sacrifice his life to seal the Archangel Michael, who was possessing him at the time. And Sam is desperate to convince him to change his mind. And he tells him, you know, I believe in us. Why don't you believe in us too? You know, why do you want to give up your life? It was so emotional and reminded me why I love the show. It was very strong scene from Jared, especially, from both of them.
Wow.
I believe in us, Dean. I believe in us. Hey. Why don't you believe in us too?
And moments like that, again, that's what makes the show for me, man. Not the action stuff, not the special effects, not all of that. Those two bros, you know? What about you? Right back at you, same question.
Hands down, the scene up in the attic with Kane and Dean.
Amazing one.
With, what's his name? Timothy Omenson, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, but the man with the beautiful head of hair and the beautiful beard.
He's like God 2.0.
But just the way he wrote that little monologue about and how they twisted the Cain and Abel story, and like they just echoed and paralleled Sam and Dean in so many ways with that, because that Cain and Abel. Well, anyways, I'm not educated in biblical stories, but
Me neither.
the Cain and Abel stories, right? It's a paragraph long, and you can spend a lifetime reading it to understand it, and just how they manipulate it, how Cain showed Dean what really went down and why he did what he did. Holy crap! And then the whole will you stop just leading up to it. Of that's
Jensen's face, the emotion on his face is just heartbreaking.
Yeah,
He didn't want to kill him, you know.
Yeah, it always is stuck with me, always. And then just Cain just submitting to that as well.
He just gave up at the end.
Yeah.
It's a great pick, man. It's a very powerful scene, and even though the recent seasons, they're not, I don't think they're not as good in my opinion as like early one, season 1 to 5, 1 to 7. As far as he's focused on the bros, that's my favorite anyway. The early seasons. This one is a standout in recent seasons. So we have a good pick there. So to transition to something lighter, I guess, back to the story.
Yeah. Do it up.
The cast are known to have a lot of pranks on set, on each other, on maybe new cast members. What can you tell us about what you witnessed on set? Any pranks or anything like that?
Well, thank freaking God. The marathon story that I was telling you about earlier, with their fundraiser. So I didn't have any pranks happen to me. I didn't know that was a thing. Thank God.
Oh, thankfully.
Thank God. And then I also wasn't obviously the victim of any pranks. But I kind of did get the full kind of treatment in a sense. Like I got to fight Dean. I got to get thrown, punched. I had Dean shot me with a shotgun. I got to have a little stunt. I'm a bad actor. I can't remember the name right now. But basically, it's a little thing that simulates you being shot, so it pops and it causes that burst like you've been shot. I got handcuffed and chained, and I got my ass kicked, and I got to fight and a lot of the things. So it was kind of maybe not a prank, but maybe to step down on my own terms. So I enjoyed that. And I didn't see any pranks as well. Maybe Maddie did, because Maddie was on set for the episode longer than I was.
Maybe she has her own stories.
Maybe.
I'll see if I can interview her later. We'll see about that.
Yeah, because Richard also is a big jokester as well. So I would not be surprised if he did pull that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, but you know what? Jensen and Jared torture him on set when he directs. He talks about they always torture him with, being silly and doing those pranks and messing up their lines on purpose and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So here actually there is something. So if you watch my episode where I get handcuffed by Dean and I get it put on the wall, that corner there is where I threw him originally. I was about to take him out, and he has plot armor.
Of course.
So obviously. But that wall, we just had a pickup shot of me. So a pickup shot is just a quick little. It's not the whole scene. It's just a quick segment. So it's me pushing Dean up against the wall.
It's almost like part of the scene or half the scene or something. Okay.
Exactly. It's a fragment of it. So we just needed me shoving Jensen up against the wall, and it's on that corner. So he didn't get a pat on his back. And Richard said it's just a pickup shot, which generally a pickup shot's only you're going to do it 1 or 2 times and then you're done. So we were there at least a half a dozen times.
Oh man.
Railing, well, not throwing Jensen into it, but eventually when we got it, Jensen proceeded to grab Richard and just keep striking him against the wall.
He's like, now you do it. Now you do it.
Yeah, great job for a freaking insert.
She's mine! Hey! Hey, okay, look. I'm sure you were in love, okay? But this isn't love, not anymore.
I love her.
Yes, sure. But now it's like some sort of a sick game, you know? I mean, you have to eat people to stay together? I mean, is that romantic, huh? Do you enjoy that? Okay, all right, look. let's just think about this for a second. I mean,
And you know, Jensen and Jared always talk about, they make fun of Richard Speight when he directs. He filmed the scene a million times, like so many times, takes all day. And from the sounds of it, that's what it sounds like in that pickup shot.
Yeah, well, even I love everything about Richard, but I'll just tag in that and say we were in this tiny little library for Harper, Jack, myself, and Dean when we're all chasing each other around. It looks like it's very big, but it was a tiny little thrift store that was turned into a library. Mm-hmm. And all Richard did was we just recorded, I'd say for a good 20 minutes, us just walking up and down the rows. And he just recorded us on the other side of the bookshelf, mm-hmm. but just these tiny little rows. But we recorded for easily 20 minutes, just going back and forth.
Just even simple stuff.
Exactly.
Well, you can't blame the guy for being thorough, right?
Oh, I'd never blame.
No.
Richard, honestly, guys, there's a couple jokes I would be horrendous to try to do them, but Richard does have an insane sense of humor, and there's still jokes I laugh at every time I think of him. He's hilarious.
I have met him a couple of times in conventions, like fan conventions, along with the rest of the cast, most of them. And in person, he comes off just like, first of all, like Gabriel, his character on the show, as funny as his character, Archangel Gabriel, and Trickster, of course.
Yeah.
And he's like kind of like a life of the party kind of guy. He co-hosts with Rob Benedict in conventions always.
Yeah.
He's so energetic, man. It's amazing.
Rob, I'm just because you mentioned the name, Rob Benedict singing "Fare Thee Well." That is
God,
insane! One of my favorite covers.
Joint pick here because that's amazing. Like, I was skeptical when I found out Chuck is God because he always comes off as like silly kind of guy, wacky guy, Chuck, you know. So I was what? This is God? Even if they were hinting at him being God before in season 5. I was skeptical, like, no way, that's God. But when it came to that scene, like, I believed it. That's God's work there.
Yeah.
One of the best moments in the series history. And I still love him till now. I know you're not caught up to, like, the latest stuff, but he's becoming a villain now. Spoiler alert. And I still like him. Like, he's very charismatic as, like, an evil god, whatever. You can't hate him. I tell my friends that, you know, about Rob Benedict.
Yeah.
You know, I lied before. I didn't really learn to play guitar. I just kind of gave myself the ability. I did the same when I learned French. Man, this whole honesty thing, it's really freeing.
I think I'll pass.
I think you're really gonna like them. You're right, it's a little high.
So, speaking of like the atmosphere on set and all of that, you worked on a lot of stuff, man. Like I said some stuff in my intro to you earlier. You worked on several shows, Charmed, Riverdale, I believe Legends of Tomorrow is one of them, Batwoman, and other stuff, Hudson, one of them. What's the difference when you experience on other sets and on Supernatural? I mean, all shows claim that they have a family dynamic, whatever, but like, honestly, what's the difference?
Yeah, so I'll start with saying something that was really cool that was specific to me that was 2018 that I did Supernatural, and I did Supernatural in September of that year. Mm-hmm. The February before, that year kind of what was really cool was that I did Riverdale at the beginning of the year and I did Supernatural at the end of the year. And what was amazing was seeing 2 very big, very successful shows with really great people in them. But I got to see, because all my scenes were with KJ in Riverdale and all of my scenes were with Jensen in Supernatural. So what was really cool for me personally was I was still pretty green, but I knew what I was doing. But what was really good insight was, and what I was very fortunate of, and that I was aware of when I was doing it was, when I did Riverdale, I knew I got to, while I was working with KJ, I watched him of like, okay, how is a young guy, like how's a guy my age on a show? Like, how does he lead a show? What does it mean to lead a show? And it was really cool to then compare that. I didn't know I had Supernatural that September, but then to go do Supernatural and to see a freaking veteran a veteran like
I
Jensen.
know, right?
And to be able to see that, so they are two amazing things. I have nothing but great things to say about KJ. He's awesome, and exactly the same with Supernatural. I would say though, it's just that general, but not general, that simple yet our entire lives in pursuit of, that just maturation, and the best things take time. And it's that thing that you really just see with someone like Jensen, with the crew as well. And that's where that family aspect comes in of, it's, what's the word?
Continuity.
A sense of grace. Not that there's not grace with with Riverdale, there was, but just much more of a sense of, there's an ease. Like almost everyone on Supernatural has a family outside of that work.
True,
They've
yeah.
been a lot of, like Rob, their DOP has been since episode 12 of the first season. A director of photography, the guy that sets up the shot for the scene to happen. Rob's been on the show since I think episode 6 or episode 12. Those are the numbers that are popping in my head.
Amazing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people in Supernatural that have been with that show for the entire thing. So it's the same. The best things take time, is what I'd say. So it's like, it's definitely to have an insight into what that looks like for someone just starting out, and then to see someone who's been at it for a long time, to have both those perspectives. That's an amazing thing to see.
And Supernatural cast and crew, like you said, a lot of them are the same, even behind the camera from season 1. And they kind of all grew up together, really. And the fact that they started as young guys, Jensen and Jared were in their early to mid-20s when they started.
Yeah.
And what's amazing, I've been rewatching season 1. I've actually been doing a series on my channel of rewatching old episodes. And it's amazing to see how good they were from the very beginning, Jensen and Jared especially. It's impressive.
I guarantee anyone who's watching this will probably have seen it, but just in case, Jared, whether you're an actor or not, it's really cool to see. Jared Padalecki has his audition for Supernatural on YouTube, and then obviously you can just go watch the episode. When he gives his monologue about for his birthday, his dad gave him his 45. He like almost verbatim does it in the audition the way he does it in the show, like that.
Funny thing
he's just that good.
Funny thing you mentioned that I actually made a video about that. So
shit.
The audition is actually out in public domain. It's okay. It's fine. Audition is out in public domain, so you can use it the way you want. They actually put it out there on YouTube, the company.
Yeah.
It's a very old video. And what I did this juxtaposition thing you're talking about in my videos. I put the scenes of the season 1 episode juxtaposed with him doing them, back and forth. And you can tell, man, this guy is amazing just in his audition.
Yeah.
It's almost translated like word for word, and the same like way of doing it from audition to scene. He killed it.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard one word from you guys in what, a year? That's all my family to you?
You know, you're even more of a selfish, stuck-up, years-old punk than I remember.
Oh, yeah, am I?
Yeah, I mean, I know things have been rocky, but still, he's dad. And after everything he's done for you.
Everything he's done for me?
Yes.
All he's done for me, for us, is set the land speed record for effed up childhoods.
Don't be overdramatic.
Dean, when I said I was scared of the thing in my closet, he gave me a 45.
Well, what was he supposed to do?
He was supposed to say, ghost stories are just stories. He was supposed to say, don't be afraid of the dark.
But you should be. You know what's out there.
Well, yeah, I know, but you're not...
Are you going to be giving a point anytime soon?
Yeah, the point is that I never asked for it, all right?
Are you gonna come with me or not?
I'm not.
Why not?
I swore I was done hunting. For good.
Come on, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah? When I told Dad I was scared of the thing in my closet, he gave me a 45.
Well, what was he supposed to do?
I was 9 years old. He was supposed to say, don't be afraid of the dark.
Don't be afraid of the dark. What, are you kidding me? Of course you should be afraid of the dark. You know what's out there.
Yeah, I know. But still, the way we grew up.
So yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because that always impresses me, like seeing that audition. I wish Jensen had his audition out there. Cannot find it, man. If you ever find it, let me know.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, it's amazing. It's really with I mean, I'm coming up with the tech as well, but it's really cool to see now how many actors auditions you can find now, whether as an actor or just as a fan viewing it, to see how many actors you can watch what their auditions look like to the final performance or the performance that you see. It's crazy. It's really insightful.
And I bet you a lot of time it varies, because I've seen a lot of auditions. It varies a lot between the audition and the final performance. Like I've seen Stranger Things auditions. Right? I'm a fan of Stranger Things, one of my favorite shows. I've seen auditions for the cast, and they're pretty good in auditions, but it's very different from the final product. They improved a lot, obviously, in the final product. But with Jared, man, he's so good in audition. Didn't need to change much, you know?
Yeah. Like actually, here's a little insight for anyone who's not acting or that watches this. Like, so if I do a self tape, so sending in an audition electronically, I'm doing a tape. So what you're seeing me right now, Leo, this is just one steady frame. So if you think and you watch the show, it'll cut from here, then it'll cut to over here, then it'll cut to look back at you. When I'm taping, I only have this. So if I'm hamming it up all over the place, like even this is too distracting for me to do. It really needs to be pretty straight, steady on so that you can read and see. So the casting director can see what I'm doing. So you definitely want to cater that performance, and it would be completely different. Like my audition for Vance, the scene I auditioned with was when I fought Dean, and it's the yelling "she's mine" and stuff. So it was very much just like I think I yelled "she's mine" and just did a fist because I had to keep everything up, because if I tuck down to tackle, then you lose me on the camera.
So you had to do it obviously differently from where you were doing it in the scene, because you only have the straight up angle camera.
Exactly.
Harper? Oh, sweet.
She's mine!
Hey!
So that is actually the scene you auditioned for them. I figured you would have more of like a talking scene than just yelling "she's mine," and that worked apparently.
Yeah. Because like Harper, so how I was cast also was dependent on how Maddie was cast. So this is, I don't know the specifics, but this is a general thing in casting where when you start to look for like the pairs of what you want to mix and match, they may have had someone with dark hair in mind for Harper, and if they had someone with dark hair, they wouldn't want me with dark hair for the part for Vance. They would maybe want my friend Josh, who auditioned for the part as well. My buddy Josh has blonde hair, to contrast with one another. Like that's where it kind of gets into those things where they're completely out of your hands, and it really is just a matter of kind of what looks best with who we know.
So it's not just performance, aesthetics too.
Exactly.
What the hell?
So you auditioned with Maddie?
I didn't audition with Maddie. It was coincidence, but serendipity. It's just freaking amazing. Maddie was actually, she was the last of the Harpers, and I was the first of the Vances, so that's why we crossed over with one another.
It's meant to be.
It was crazy, man. It was crazy. Yeah, we've been best friends ever since.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, and she's a very good actor. She was very funny in the episode.
Yeah, she is.
She's playing a psycho girlfriend and raising you, her dead boyfriend.
She killed me. She
killed you
on and off the screen.
And at least she loves you enough to bring you back. And
actually, here, sorry there, Leo, I'll cut you off.
No, go ahead. I'll tell you after. Okay.
Yeah, this is something really funny that. So the honorary person who's getting killed of the episode, they ask my first day, I got asked by what I remember to be everyone was, have you died yet? No? Okay, well don't worry, you'll come back. That's their running joke. That's their running joke because the turnover is so high. Case in point, Maddie was actually on the show as a little girl. She actually came back years later.
That's funny. I was just about to tell you that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you know she wasn't a little girl. I don't know how old she was, but in season 10, she was a college girl.
Yeah.
Have you seen that episode?
She let me know about it.
Yeah, I've actually made a video about that a while ago when that episode came up, kind of like to bring back the memory of her being on a show before, because the show recycles actors a lot, as you probably know, and she looked very different back then. Obviously, different colored hair, dark hair. Not she's blonde now, but yeah, she was good back then, good in that episode, and it's amazing to see so many faces from old seasons, like sometimes from season 1 or something, and you see them season 14 and 15.
Yeah.
I was drunk, but I wasn't hallucinating. The truck had a mind of its own.
How so?
Like, the air went full blast even though it wasn't on, and the radio went crazy. And so did Trini.
And Trini is?
You have to excuse my partner. When it comes to technology, he's a little behind. He just learned how to poke on Facebook.
I'll say because sadly I'll say the sacrilegious words here that the show's come to an end.
Oh no!
It really is.
I'm gonna end this interview now.
yeah, seriously. I don't.
It was nice having you on.
yeah. I don't play.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
No, I'll say like it's to have it be around that long and know that the time is now short for it. To have been a part of it, it's the thing. Especially being an actor in Vancouver, it's a thing I'll take with me for my lifetime. It's such a privilege, and I really mean that to have been a part of it. It's amazing.
It's like a once in a lifetime thing, especially that a lot of shows that are very long running, they change the main cast, or at least the alternate main cast, not in all the episodes. No, Jensen and Jared are in every single one of 300 plus episodes. That's insane. Yeah. And their chemistry is what makes the show what it is,
Mm-hmm.
So next up, I want to ask you again, since you've done a lot of things before Supernatural and after Supernatural, but specifically the things you did before, I want to ask you what you took from them, like learning experiences you took from other shows or movies you worked on that you applied on Supernatural.
Yeah, so I actually did, so the series that I did, Hudson, I filmed that July, the July before, and then I came back, so that was my first touches of being a series lead in the acting world. So we shot that in July and then came back for August. And when I shot Supernatural, that's the retrospect that I was talking about with KJ. I went, holy crap, I got to watch KJ work at the beginning of the year. Now I'm going to get to work with Jensen and watch how he works. Mm-hmm. And I also just got to do my own show. And it was 2 girls and myself. We were kind of the triangle lead. So to be able to watch Jensen now and hopefully, which I was able to, because we did break bread for the time that we worked together. So I was able to ask him a couple questions, and the amount of information he gave. One of the things I'll share, he asked Rob what lens we were using for the next shot. So once he found out, he just put his head down, and I just saw him nod and kind of dart his eyes around when he looked up. And then he did the scene, and then later on I asked him what he was doing. And then he knew exactly with which lens, what the frame was going to look like. So he knew whether to get the super crazy Dean eyes, or he knows to be like, use his shoulders more, be more physical, or be more expressive with his arms. Because that stuff's not going to work when you can only see your chin, but you have to be much more still in that case. So even something like that, that was something specific, but more than that, it was more so just taking away any guy that's done a show, for 15 years with one other guy and they've locked it down. Obviously they haven't done it by themselves, but really, I didn't want to ask. I really wanted to just listen and just observe and see how he went about it, how he did it, how Richard went about it, how the crew worked together. So I was much more observant versus vocal in asking things. But definitely just learned this of, I have my hands around Jensen's collar and we're up against that wall. and we're talking about marathons right up until Richard calls action, and then we just go right into it. And that little realization of, holy crap, I don't need to go huddle in a corner and think dark thoughts to go do this scene. Like, he is, he's just, we're talking about marathons, we're talking about how awful it is to stretch after a run, and then now we're going to do our scene now. And seeing just that ease and that
professional. Okay, it's a good word. It's a good word.
Yeah.
I was gonna say professionalism.
I'll take it. Yeah,
it's their ability to switch on and off so easily and so smoothly from casual talk to this. And has this been something you were used to before you were in Supernatural, like that instant switch, or you actually needed to take some time before?
Yes. Yeah. Yes to your question. I've not a. Acting is beautiful. It's amazing, but there's so many pieces to it. Like we're not. It's in all the ways not to discredit it. In all the ways to keep it what it is. It is magic. It's one of the coolest jobs, and it's one of the coolest jobs in the world to do, and very grateful to do it. But also, it's still a job. It's like on the day. It's not sparkles. It's not princess treatment. There's a job that needs to get done. There's fans that love what we do. Let's not disappoint them. Let's really put our best foot forward in this. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than you realize it is, because you realize you really are in it with everyone there. It's not just you that needs to find yourself in the scene. It's everyone in that moment when they say action, and even before leading up to action and after, is prepping to give you that space to do what you need to do in that moment. And when you realize that, you don't need to go off and prepare, and also do whatever you need to do to get yourself ready. But you really open your eyes up to, oh, right, we're all in this together. The testament to that is being with someone like Jensen or Jared, where you're on a show that's been on as long as it has and done as well as it has.
Speaking of dancing, that's a great way to put it, what you just described. Speaking of dancing, it's kind of like a dance where if you have a partner, they have to do their moves for your moves to work. Is it kind of similar view, I guess?
Yeah, rhythm, and then more specifically, jazz. Like jazz.
That's
you're
cool.
You're chasing the rhythm.
And I remembered something I wanted to ask you about from earlier. Speaking of your character, Vance, it's a fun little, almost like an Easter egg in the episode. Dean calls you Archie, and you look like Archie from Riverdale. I'm sure that wasn't a coincidence. So tell me, how did that come about, the makeup and the hair and stuff? How did that happen?
Yeah, a little hidden Easter egg. Well, I have auburn hair, and then I did Riverdale at the beginning of the year. And then just how that was in the script that I auditioned for. So I if I remember, I yelled, "She's mine, swing," and then he goes, "Hey Archie, turn around, let's dance," or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. But no, it was an intended joke.
Archie! Hey! Let's dance.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I'm not even a fan of Riverdale myself. I've seen like some of season 1. I like some of it, but I just wasn't interested enough to continue the show. My full focus, I was telling you before the interview, or even during, about Supernatural, been so focused on it that I almost don't see anything outside of it, you know? And when I do see movies or other things, it feels weird, you know? It's like, I've been watching Supernatural for like, not from the beginning like you, but 4, 5, 6, 7 years. 2012, that's when I started. And then obviously I've been working on it since 2017 full-time on my channel. And it just feels, it's almost like a tunnel vision, being focused on Supernatural. You don't see other things outside of it. It's just because it's so good, I guess.
Yeah. See, that's the it's the really fun thing that I personally love about acting, is that when you get to set, you can really be tunnel vision. And every set I've ever been on has been incredibly respectful of, if you want to be the life of the party, everyone loves it, and if you just want to keep to yourself to do whatever you have to do, everyone is there for you as well. I love that kind of tunnel vision, and I love environments that support that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I will add one more thing to something you said earlier about the ability of someone like Jensen to instantly switch from like casual, everyday conversation to Dean Winchester, the brooding, serious guy. The fact that he mess around so much on set, and he sees it in the bloopers and the gag reels and stuff, hilarious stuff, and he does that in the same scene. Like,
what? You're freaking, didn't you? You just put up a video
I
where
did.
they mispronounced Jack's name, right? Or
Oh my,
Alex?
yeah,
Jack's-
he called Alex Jack.
Yeah, that one. I just watched that one, and it's like that happens throughout the entire shoot continuously.
I would love to see, seriously, like a 10-hour gag reel per season or something, you know?
Oh, I'm sure there's hundreds of hours in a vault that if you ask enough, Leo, I'm sure you could get them.
Yeah, the fans are asking for like a whole like Blu-ray of gag reels or something, you know? I would buy it, man. I would buy it. Easy.
Yeah.
And another thing is, if you want to end the show now, again, the dreaded subject, they can just make gag reel every year and we'll watch it.
That's it.
Because what if this hadn't worked?
But it did. The occultum was never in hell.
Huh?
That's it. That's
I was gonna do it. I didn't think you were gonna do it, asshole. Jack's gone. Oh, Alex is gone. Jesus.
Okay, no. We got it.
You can. There's here. Well, I'm not implying anything. But I would love to see Sam and Dean come back when they're two guys in their 50s.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Just like Wild Wild West style. Holy crap, that'd be awesome. Like there's a couple loose ends in there. I know there is.
Oh, always, man. You cannot tie everything up in just one 20 episode season, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what? I've been covering on my channel a lot of hints of them talking about wanting to come back and not wanting to be end forever. Even Jensen literally said, it'd be foolish to close the doors in Supernatural and say we're never gonna come back, you know? Mm-hmm. So they've been very clear and vocal about them not wanting to be like the final end or whatever. It's the end for now, you know?
The one sequel we want and we can't have, and everything else we get the sequel to what we don't want.
I know, right? That's like the movie show business, shows and movies.
Life. That's life.
And speaking of which, there's something I remembered. I actually didn't prepare to ask you for this, but I just remembered that
Fire away.
You said something in your comment about something Jensen told you on my video about the ending. Jensen saying Supernatural will never end. You commented something. Do you remember that? You said Jensen said something on set. Do you remember that line?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about it?
It's what Supernatural is all about. It's family, and really, like we've watched 15 seasons with two brothers that have gone to heaven and hell and back, and purgatory. They've like where will love take you, and at what risk would you go to find one another or understand one another, and to be a part of a show that's what underlies like faith. I think that episode, you're right, Leo, is the episode where the show bridge that it's not just going to be a monster of the week. It's going to be something much more. There's a different journey going, or there's an underlying journey.
Mm-hmm. There's something much bigger. Mm-hmm.
And really those were, Jensen had a few different words, but that was it's the theme that you see, that all of us see, and we see, and the proof and the testament to that is that the show is still standing, and it is alive, and it is well. It's taken a break because it doesn't want to catch COVID right now, but it very much is.
God doesn't want it to end. Life doesn't want it to end.
Chuck's taken out the universe, and even he put this on hiatus.
I know, man.
Think about that. But no, that's really is what it is that you'll like I only had the one episode, and an absolute gift, and I get to take that with me always, and I always get to remember that time with that family for that little brief moment of where it's like, hey, come on, welcome, here we go, okay, all the best, now go fly, now go do your thing. And to just have that kind of experience on something like that, where, like you said, right? Or we have our own, all of us have our own stories, but to be able to go from where I've gone to be able to be in the show is,
It's
yeah.
amazing, man. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And I mean, how many, again, on the lighter side, how many people can say, I kicked Dean Winchester's ass? So that's something to live with and be proud of. But hey, he got you at the end, so to be fair.
I'm in the ground. I'm still in the ground.
This must have been fun playing a zombie, I guess you can call him.
I lose with grace. I won with humility and I lost with grace. I take that with great humility.
I'd be proud of being
it was an honor.
Be proud of that. Be proud of that. You've been beaten by the best hunter ever. So.
Exactly. He had 4.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, please.
No. I was just gonna. I'll do one more Peacock, and I'll just say he had 14 seasons, and I still gave him a run. So I felt very honored. Very honored.
That is a fair take on it.
Oh, sweet.
What are you doing?
What? He's my boyfriend. He just gets a little jealous sometimes.
But he's dead. And stalking you.
No, he's stalking you. It's a little game we play. Some people pretend to be naughty nurses, some people get tied up. We do this.
Oh, I was just gonna go to the next. We're getting close to the final couple of questions here. It was awesome, by the way, so far.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man.
Yeah, you're easy to talk to, man. You're not as creepy as your character, so that's good.
I'm doing my job well. Yes.
You did a great job. That means you did a great job. Because real life, and your name is Sam Winchester, Sam. So that's a nice name too.
Yeah. I definitely ran with that when I was a kid. I won't lie.
It's a good name to have, especially if you're a fan of the show, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you something outside of the show, more like a light-hearted question, is about your favorite movies and shows and why. Like, pick certain favorites and why do you like them?
Yeah. So I love movies all over the place. So this is in no particular order and no first greatest of all time. No, absolutely not.
You don't have like the ultimate favorite show or movie?
No, because it changes, right? It changes. It's something I remember. So when I was a kid, I watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid all the time. I love that show. Mm-hmm. I love 8 Mile, Dumb and Dumber, Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
He played heavyweight James J. Braddock. That's always been one of my favorites. I love Lincoln, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Steven Spielberg, director, awesome, of course.
That's the one. Casablanca, the old Hollywood movie.
I've heard of it, but yeah, I haven't watched it.
Yeah. Very old black and white, bar right on the edge, edge in Casablanca.
What's like the most recent something that came out last year that stuck up to you? For you?
So, recently. Okay, I'm gonna go back the last decade. Man of Steel has really grown. I've loved it from the beginning, but Man of Steel is growing on me more and more. It's some of my favorite music.
I was just gonna say Hans Zimmer just makes everything much better.
So I'll tag into that as well. Pirates of the Caribbean has actually been my recent bender.
Hans Zimmer too.
Yeah.
So, right? Yeah. Amazing.
Beautiful music.
How do you feel about Christopher Nolan's Batman movies?
Oh,
those are my favorite movies ever, and they never changed, man.
Chris Nolan is a personal. I do. Christopher Nolan is one of those directors I really hope I get the chance to work with. That would be amazing. Absolutely.
Imagine, like, obviously you've seen Inception, right? Amazing masterpiece.
Well, a director of a show that I did last year that just came out, he was actually one of the camera operators for the Batman trilogy with Chris Nolan. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so he told me a couple stories about it. Obviously only the best thing. Some amazing things that are the best things that are. Do you
remember, maybe you can tell us just one of them from those stories?
Oh, just, it just has to do with the collaborative process of it, of how you wouldn't expect it to be that way in terms of how easy it is. Like, it's such for the budget and the scale and kind of the demand and the expectation of audience, but to also put yourself back in a time where we didn't know who Chris Nolan was and we didn't know what the Batman trilogy was, and to just have this atmosphere that was always nurtured and contained to just be this place of play for them. And they really were able to do what they did.
Yeah, I love directors like him who come from an indie background, like making short films, low budget movies and stuff. The whole idea you just mentioned of contained atmosphere, contained story, which is actually translates into Supernatural, why I don't like certain episodes or seasons that go too big, the big bad and stuff like that is just taking over the story in favor of characters and the small moments between the bros and stuff like that. So I'm more into that contained environment and contained stories, and don't go too much, man,
Yeah. So I'll wrap that up with saying two things I've watched recently. One, I'm 6 years late to the party, but then this other one just came out last year. The first season of True Detective with McConaughey and Woody Harrelson.
Okay.
Anything with McConaughey, I'm a fan of. But the first season of True Detective and Chernobyl. Those are two things I've watched a few times each apiece in this last year, and they are not getting old. I'm loving them more and more.
That's cool, man. And we got to the final question now.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, man, was awesome. So the final question is just obviously everything being shut down now, delayed productions, and tell us the last thing you worked on, or a couple of things that didn't come out yet, like your upcoming projects when hopefully everything comes back to normal and they come out at some point. Tell us a little bit what's coming.
Well, I can actually be very straight, Leo, is that I don't have anything coming out right now.
Really? That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
I thought I saw something on your IMDb account that it says post-production or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I do have a few things that will eventually be coming out, but I don't have any frame about when to look out for them or promote them.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's cool if you don't have any details or something.
Yeah. So, but there's some stuff that will eventually be upcoming. But right now again, I've only been acting for a few years, and I've been very fortunate I've been able to get a lot of work. So this is actually the first streak of time in a few years where I haven't either been waiting to film something or waiting for something I filmed to come out. So it's this
hold.
It's time to breathe. Time to breathe. And
yeah,
relax take a minute.
Been all over the place, man. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Like you had so many different experiences on different sets, different shows, different movies, and you're still just starting. So that's awesome. At the end, I will wish you the best for your future work. And
thanks, man.
I'm so happy for you. You got to go on my favorite show, so we got to talk about that. That's pretty special, man.
Here, question for you, because I've been wanting to ask it since I've seen it. I don't know if are people going to see a screen of you or not?
Oh, they are seeing like a small screen. Of
Okay.
Sure.
Your Transformers shirt. Are you an Autobots or Decepticon?
It's a good one. Definitely.
If you had to decide.
Definitely an Autobot. Yeah.
Autobot. Okay.
I mean, it's a simple good versus evil, I guess. Optimus Prime is one of my heroes, right? He's awesome.
Yeah.
So definitely, I'm a fan of the first three Transformers with Shia LaBeouf, especially. What about you? Are you a fan of Transformers?
Huge fan. Sideswipe was actually always one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like the newer ones with Mark Wahlberg movies, or just Shia LaBeouf?
Shia.
He makes those movies, man. I don't care what people say about like humans being in the movies too much. No, Shia makes the movies for me.
Shia.
He's so funny and charismatic, and he's a very serious actor now. I don't know if you're following his latest stuff, but he changed a lot. I haven't seen that yet, but I want to see it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's beautiful film.
I've heard good things.
Put his heart in it.
Oh, and he has to eat flesh to maintain his body. Stupid magic. But it all works out. Except, not for you.
So anyway, at the end, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on, man. It was very awesome talking to you.
It was a pleasure, Leo.
And wishing you the best for the future.
Wishing you all the best as well, man. Hey, and stay safe, everyone out there as well. Love y'all.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Wayward Winchester for more awesome supernatural content. Till next time, as always, No chick flick moments.
Amara, no!
No chick flick moments.